That's whack. That's horrible.
Welcome back to It's Too Bad, the show where we watch bad movies and try to find a good in them. I'm Ted.
I'm Jason, and today we are bringing you a little special presentation, something that we had promised back if you saw our Samurai Cop episode, which I hope you did.
Has it been that long?
Oh, that was back in January.
Wow, okay.
We promised you the Shaquille O'Neal opus, Kazaam.
Oh,
and here
man,
we are.
it is a movie from my childhood. I was excited to see it again because I have fond memories of it.
Sure.
96.
Yeah.
Shaq rolls from the east side because he likes to play on the west side, but he misses. I don't know how that song goes. Look it up. This is obviously a vehicle just for Shaquille.
Absolutely.
And to show off his rapping skills. His rapping. I didn't realize this, but as a kid, you're enamored with Shaq at that age. You just were, and Shaquille was the biggest star of them all.
Literally.
I mean, he was giant. Other than Jordan, you had this giant man coming to LA.
Right.
So I was all in. Fast forward a couple of years, rewatching this movie. Oh no.
Yeah.
Oh no.
Yeah.
I feel bad making my parents watch it.
Yeah, I'd probably seen it once or twice total and hadn't watched it since the 90s. So coming back into it, I didn't really remember anything except for maybe bits and pieces of sort of the slapstick parts that were in the commercials.
Right.
Yeah, my mind was sort of blown.
Yeah, it was a very strange film because it's dealing with some deep issues of a parent not being there and this kid trying to find his dad and then his dad wanting nothing to do with him.
Yeah. They even deal with music piracy in sort of the beginning of the digital age.
Yes.
And so
they're still stealing tapes. Those $1 million tape.
But the issues are so adult that bringing a genie in that raps is not going to really pull the film together, and I think that's where they failed.
Watching it now and seeing how film has progressed since the 90s even, you see a movie about a rapping genie, and the only black guy in it is Shaquille, really. And the rest of these rappers and kids, and they're in the mean streets of New York, right? They're all white. And I didn't realize how whitewashed my childhood was until I start rewatching films and I go, oh, yeah. I mean, that's weird to me. And in the We Genie rap, the kid is barely keeping up and he's walking around like an idiot. And I go, oh my goodness, what happened here?
And when the magic is over, we ain't men, we genie.
I feel like this is one of those cases where you have producers and executives that are trying to capitalize on what's hip, and obviously rap hip-hop is still hip. And so in the 90s, we were getting all sorts of things. We had Vanilla Ice and the Ninja Turtles too, and they just kept pouring stuff like that out. Shaq, who already was known for basketball, but he had this music career that he had gotten on the weight of that. But they didn't know, these executives didn't know that he's not the greatest rapper, guys.
Yeah.
And so a lot of the time we have Shaq rapping, but he's not really rapping. It's more like slam poetry, and they've thrown a beat behind him, but it's not to the beat.
No.
It's not what you would consider rap, and anybody that listens to rap would be pretty much offended.
Right. The question becomes, can you tell this story without the rap portion? And the answer is yes.
Absolutely.
There's zero reason why you need a rapping genie. You could have put Shaq in this movie just because he's huge.
Right.
And he's a star. You could have put him as a genie and you could have fixed this kid's problems through the friendship and being a dad figure, all that sort of thing. But no, why did we have to throw the rap in? And that's really where we start to wonder what the executives were thinking. Let's talk about what's good. Acting. We have Shaquille O'Neal in his second role. He doesn't do terribly as a basketball player trying to act.
Right. At the same time, Shaq has not come far from even there. He's been in so many films, but he doesn't feel like he needs to hone his craft in that area.
No.
And so it's Shaq from now is Shaq from Kazaam. Problem is, that's not a good actor.
No.
It's just Shaq.
You're right.
But besides Shaq, I felt like the mother, she definitely had some pretty dramatic scenes. She's got a lot to process, and she does it really well. She handles the parenting, aspect of the acting really, really well. There's a couple moments where she interacts with Shaq that are just zany.
Yeah, it's true. And if I talk to my mom, the way that kid talks to her, I would have been smacked
So far.
up. I would have been so like in trouble. It wouldn't even be an issue. She just goes, like, really? Like, no, you're gonna go smack that child up, you know, to get him back under control, which is why that needed to happen, though.
Yeah.
She played that role well, because if she was the disciplinarian, the kid wouldn't have made sense.
Right.
So what'd you think of the kid?
I thought that the kid actually did a good job. He was dealing with the actual issues. There was some decent emotion there. He was never over the top. And Francis Capra's gone on to do quite a bit since
Yes.
then. And even before that, he was in A Bronx Tale. Sort of the way that I see it is two different movies. And before Shaq's in it, you're setting up the characters and
Yes.
everything, and they shine. And so for me, it was kind of disheartening that I start to watch the movie not remembering it. I see how the movie's going, and I'm like, man, this is really not that bad. And the moment you bring Shaq into it, it turns a corner and never looks back. And even the performances opposite Shaq suffer for it.
Right. We could have done without Shaq completely, and the story would have been better. Now, probably not a kid's movie.
Sure.
But definitely would have been a different film. And like you said, I think the actors could have pulled off a more dramatic role.
Yeah.
But when Shaq shows up, you got to have zany Shaq.
Yes.
And handlebar turning into a motorcycle thing,
knows
going up on the wall.
Flames and
I
all
mean,
sorts of
my
things.
goodness, what was he thinking? He wasn't thinking.
He wasn't
No
thinking.
one was thinking in this movie.
No, they thought we can get away with it with some cheesy CG.
Well, let's talk about
Effects.
the effects.
Sure.
And it doesn't feel like it's gone up since Ghostbusters. Like, I feel like these effects were okay, but they weren't great.
No.
When he's, you know, with his palms out and there's fire coming out. I mean, in '96, I guess, as a kid.
Yeah.
I mean, you're not going to notice. As an adult, I'm sure you did. But like
Sure.
as a kid, you're just kind of watching Shaq. So I remember back in the day not thinking anything of it. Now,
Right.
as an adult, you look back and you see it and you go, they're not great.
I mean, and for the time, there wasn't much to, I mean, you can always hold the bar at Jurassic Park and say nothing is, you know, but that's the only one. They're not, you know, pouring Avengers money into
Of course.
Shaq
Yeah,
as a
no,
genie.
gosh, no. Why would they?
So,
Yeah. Oh my goodness.
next to other things at the same period,
Yeah.
did just fine. And I actually thought a couple of moments, especially there's one in particular where he like ties the kid's shoes or unties the kid's
Yes.
shoes that actually looked very real, almost like practical effects. And so I was actually impressed with that. And then the next shot, you see some other towels going through his ear and whatever.
Just
And
feeding French toast to shoving it down that kid's throat. Like, he could choke, man.
whole
That's a
slice.
full slice, thick French toast going, I don't get it. That was weird. The actual sound, not the rapping, but the actual like score of the movie, it serves its purpose. I'm not
does.
gonna say it wasn't bad.
Sure.
It just works for the film, so I'm okay with that. But when you start throwing in the rapping.
yeah, they definitely knew that was this was the whole angle of the film. So even the regular soundtrack was, you had Coolio to start off the movie. And I thought, you know, I got this warm feeling like, okay, this could be all right. In '96, we're doing all right.
Coolio. Oh man.
But then you force the characters to rap.
Yeah.
And even in performances where they're at the club and things like that, where these people are standing there cheering for the worst thing you've ever seen.
And if you think that's bad, here's my age. Square octogenarial.
I believe Spinderella was playing.
No idea.
And they have this interaction, her and
Yes.
Shaquille O'Neal, where they're rapping to each other. They say one line, and then you wait 4, 5, 7 seconds till the next line.
And the crowd.
The crowd is
It's still going for it. I'm gonna guess that like if you're at a Lil Wayne concert, he's not calling out some guy in the crowd and having him rap back to him.
no.
Has you ever been in a rap concert where the main performer calls out someone just because he's tall and expects him to rap?
No, I've been in rap concerts where the main performer has called out somebody in the audience because they were of a rival gang. That's very
Interesting.
different.
Okay, that's an interesting story.
It did not become a collaborative issue.
They didn't get him on a track and sign him the next day because he's so good at rapping.
Shaq goes from you want to like him to he lets the kid die so that he can live out his dream. This is dark.
I mean,
guys.
if a genie pops out, Jason, and you get 3 wishes, who's gonna turn corrupt, you or the genie?
That's probably going to be the person that can get wishes.
Yeah, no, it was the other way around. Our scale here, It's Too Bad, we do it in the middle. We're not Siskel and Ebert. They're going to be two thumbs way up.
No.
We're here because we're doing bad films, and so that's our bar. Food Fight, we both gave this. So where do you rank? Is it watchable? Should people see it, or people absolutely should just not turn to this on?
Bad movies like Plan 9, which are just, a landmark bad film, but just so much fun. Miami Connection is just up there. It's not there. I don't need for people to see Kazaam, but at the same time, it's, they did so many things well. It's a decent sized budget. It looks good. There is a story, whether or not it's a great story. It's coherent, and they get from point A to point B, and everything wraps up. And so I think just with it not really knowing what it wants to be, I'm gonna have to, if that's my Miami Connection, that's my favorite bad movie.
Okay.
I put it a little down from it, not like dead center, but right about there. I would show my kid, and she'd probably have a good time watching it once, and I wouldn't feel bad about it, and I wouldn't feel like I'm a bad parent if I showed her Food Fight.
Yeah, true.
So that's where
That's true. I like that rating. I think for me, growing up and watching it, it's more nostalgic for me. So I had fonder memories of this. So when I watched it now, our job is to look at it from a different point of view. So I did see all of the issues, but I'm not upset about it because I like Shaquille O'Neal and I find him fun and amusing, and he was awful in this film, absolutely. But it's Shaquille O'Neal.
Right.
So, and so when I have kids and it's on, I'm not gonna buy it and show, like, you have to see Kazaam, but if it's on, and I'll show them Shaq, and I'll tell them about Shaq and who Shaq was. So I think I'm halfway.
Okay.
I think I'm halfway, because if it's on, I'll watch it for the nostalgic purposes. If I never see it again, so be it. If you like this video, go ahead and like and subscribe. Don't forget to leave your comments down below about Kazaam and or Shaquille O'Neal's raps. We'll talk about those in our podcast coming up. Next week, we'll have the podcast of this where we dive in a little bit deeper to Kazaam and all of the glory that it is. We hope to see you there.